Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is DB Talkin Now, DB Talkin Birds, DB Talkin Philadelphia Eagles. We have a lot to get into today, guys. Obviously, it's the day after the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game, where the Seattle Seahawks went ahead and beat the Los Angeles Rams 31-27. Such a great game. Another weekend of great playoff football. I gotta be honest with you. As far as the AFC Championship game was concerned, I was completely wrong on that one. I thought the Patriots were going to come out and play really, really well, and kind of steamroll the Broncos. And that game also, the interesting thing about that game is it started off as a clear, just really cold afternoon, and then in the second half, it turned into pretty much a snowball. Both offenses couldn't get much going. I think Drake May had about like 87 passing yards or something along those lines. And so that game ended up being around 10-7. When all was said and done, the Patriots beat the Broncos 10-7. And the Seattle Seahawks beat the Los Angeles Rams 31-27. So in a couple of weeks, we will be looking at a matchup of the Patriots versus the Seahawks. Man, does that matchup look familiar? Last time those two teams were in the Super Bowl going up against each other, the Seattle Seahawks almost won back-to-back, but they decided not to give it to Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line, and then Russell Wilson threw an interception, and the Patriots ended up winning that game. But I do feel that this will be a different outcome. I do believe that the Seattle Seahawks are much better than the New England Patriots. I still think it's going to be a good game when the Super Bowl does happen in a couple weeks. But I think the Seahawks will win that game. I'm thinking like something. I want to go with all these crazy predictions because that's just how I feel. Like I feel like the Seahawks could just like absolutely obliterate the Patriots, but it is playoff football and we are talking about the Super Bowl here. So I definitely feel like it could be something around maybe 23-17, somewhere around there. Seahawks take the cake on that one and bring a Lombardi trophy back home to Seattle. But we do have a lot to get into today. Obviously, the offensive coordinator search for the Philadelphia Eagles does continue. And then also a new name has emerged for that offensive coordinator position. And the name that I'm talking about, the person that I am talking about, would be pass game coordinator Nathan Scheelhaase of the Los Angeles Rams. Now, obviously the Eagles couldn't interview Nathan Scheelhaase for the offensive coordinator position as of yet because the Rams were in the playoffs yesterday. However, because the Rams lost, the Eagles are free to go ahead and interview Nathan Scheelhaase for their offensive coordinator position. Now, this is an intriguing name, one, because obviously we all know that the Los Angeles Rams passing offense is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, you can give a lot of credit to Sean McVay. I'm not really sure who their offensive coordinator is, but Nathan Scheelhaase is the pass game coordinator. But the Philadelphia Eagles actually do have some history with Nathan Scheelhaase. They did go ahead and interview him for the offensive coordinator position back in 2023, and the job obviously ultimately went to Brian Johnson. So, and we know how that played out. But we also have some other Eagles assistants news. Obviously, we lost defensive backs coach Christian Parker to the Dallas Cowboys. He will become the defensive coordinator over there. Good for them. Good for them. I wish it wasn't them, but good, whatever. Good for them. but no, this recent news was pretty much a given. Kind of everybody expected it, but the Eagles did promote Joe Casper from safeties coach um, to secondary coach, replacing Christian Parker. So I think that's going to be a good transition. You know, I love what Joe Casper has done with the safeties, especially young rookie Andrew Makuba. I really felt like he was really starting to come into his own and play really well before he got injured, unfortunately. And then you can also kind of credit Joe Casper, for the development of Reed Blankenship as well. So, and the way that Marcus Epps was able to come in and step in. Unfortunately, there's bad eggs, in that crop as well. Sydney Brown is like Keely Ringo, just at the safety position. It just drives me absolutely nuts. Um, but yeah, the offensive coordinator search continues. It is heating up. Obviously there is, I think it's starting to make a little bit more sense now. The Eagles are just waiting. We're just waiting for for some of these candidates from the playoffs, to become available. And the Rams obviously, I don't think that the Rams, obviously Nathan Shieldhouse, that's the guy that's emerging right now. So that must be, whenever there's smoke, there's fire. And so, I believe that that's probably the reason why this has been taking so long. But we're going to find out. I feel like we're going to find out very, very soon who their preferred candidate is. I still think Declan Dougal is one of the names at the top of that list. But it wouldn't surprise me if Nathan Shieldhouse ends up becoming the guy. It wouldn't surprise me if Nathan Shieldhouse ends up becoming the guy. Now, obviously, he has to approve of wanting to be the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. But now that he's available to interview, he might get, he's probably going to get other offensive coordinator interviews. It's not like Philadelphia is going to be the only one interested in this guy. So, we'll just have to see how it all plays out. And I'm really excited, obviously moving forward. Man, what a couple of good games yesterday. The Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams were trading scores for a little while there, but I mean, just the overall performance from Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Sam Darnold specifically, I think, he obviously coming into the playoffs, he had a lot of doubters because, he did so well. He did so well with the Vikings last year. I believe it was the Vikings. Yeah. But then he was an absolute broken egg in the playoffs last year. And they were like, oh, okay, so he's just going to be another chump in the playoffs. So he kind of had that label coming into this year's, playoffs, but he has been playing well. He's been playing well. He's been playing really well. And now he's earned himself a trip to the Super Bowl. So, the journey that guy has had, he was drafted by the New York Jets and, couldn't get much going there. And then he went to Minnesota and went 13. And I think he went like 14-3 or 13-4 last year with the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings, for some reason, moved on from him. I guess they had a lot of faith in JJ McCarthy, but then he went over to Seattle and did the same exact thing, the same exact record. And now they're on their way to the Super Bowl. So not one, but two teams passed on Sam Darnold. And I remember Sam Darnold coming out of college. I always thought like he was a really highly regarded. I mean, he was a highly regarded draft pick. And he went very early in the draft. It's just that anybody that goes to to play in New York for the Jets, it ends up becoming a death sentence. Even Aaron Rodgers just last year played for the New York Jets, and he couldn't get anything going. Um, obviously he's on the Steelers now, but it's like the New York Jets have so many problems. Like, I don't even know. It's probably ownership, to be completely honest with you. I would not want to be a fan of the New York Jets. That's for damn sure. And their only other option, obviously, is to be a fan of the New York Giants, and they're up and down. But they should get things back on track with the hiring of John Harbaugh for sure. But yeah. Please subscribe, please drop a comment down below. We can talk about it. Hit the notification bell so that you can get updates on anything we're fucking talking about every day. My plan to do this every single day. So I haven't been that consistent with it over the years, but yeah, I definitely want to get back to being consistent with it. God damn, I hope my mic is working. I lost my mic and I just found it this morning and I was so excited. So it's blue. I mean, it says that it's connected in the thing, so hopefully it's fucking working. If it's not working, we're going to have to delete this stream later. That's what we're going to just a bunch of that's what I'm doing. I'm recording a stream for lip readers. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean, getting back to the Seattle Seahawks game against the Rams. You go and you look at it. Matthew Stafford had 374 yards for 3 touchdowns. So he played a great game. I don't think that I honestly don't think that Sean McVay, he should have tried to control the clock a little bit more and I understand that's not what the Rams do, but he should have tried to control the clock a little bit more by running the ball. Obviously, Blake Corum had 9 attempts for 55 yards, which was a 6.1 per carry average. And then Kyron Williams, their lead back, 10 attempts for 39 yards. Now I understand, when the going gets slow on the run game, it's hard to stick with it, but you kind of got to. You gotta keep that balance. You got to do what you can to control the clock. That's why this team has a hard time winning, because in the playoffs, it's all about ground control and time and controlling the clock. Really, it's really what it is. And that's why the Eagles, despite their passing inefficiencies over the last, I want to say 2 years, but really over the last 2 years, they were able to win the Super Bowl because they were able to run it well with Saquon Barkley, and then they could take their pass shots, and that's what you got to really focus on. Is the playoffs are all about ground control and clock control, and not turning the ball over. So, and if we look at the Seahawks side of things, Sam Darnold, both quarterbacks had over 320 yards passing. Sam Darnold was 25 for 36, 346 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Almost an identical game to Matthew Stafford. And here's the difference right here. 19 attempts for Kenneth Walker on the ground for 62 yards, 1 touchdown. That's the difference. They ran the ball more. They did a better job of controlling the clock. So, but what are you gonna do? Who won? We can't change it. See, here's the thing, is actually I wanted the Rams to win because I wanted Sean McVay. It's not like I actually wanted this to happen, but because the Eagles obviously are no longer in it, I wouldn't have minded seeing Sean McVay get another ring, and I wouldn't have minded seeing Matthew Stafford get another ring, especially after the long portion of his career that he spent in Detroit and couldn't get anything going. with the exception, obviously, he had Calvin Johnson as a wide receiver, so the stats were there. And he's gotten so good as a quarterback. Like he used to, like he's always been really good. I mean, I think he was a top 2 pick, or maybe he was a first round pick, or maybe he was the first pick in the draft where he was drafted. No, I think it was the Sam Bradford draft, actually. I think it was Sam Bradford number 1 to the Rams, and I think it was Matthew Stafford number 2 to the Lions. Interesting. But yeah, he's always been good, but now he's just like, from a mental perspective, like he's got that quarterback position like he knows it like the back of his hand. So he's still, I personally believe that Matthew Stafford's still got a few years left in him. He's old, he's getting older, but like, you know, the fact that he's really refined his game completely, like, it's just been absolutely phenomenal, and he's playing better than he ever has, really. So it's unfortunate that they didn't make the Super Bowl, you know, but Seattle made it, and good for Sam Darnold. You know, I will say that good for Sam Darnold making the Super Bowl. You know, obviously being shipped out of New York and being shipped out of Minnesota, you know, to land with the Seahawks. You know, obviously he's going to be in for a huge payday. So yeah, good for him. Good for him. I want to see him win the Super Bowl now. I want to see him win the Super Bowl. I think, no, it'd be a cool story to see if Drake May and the Patriots won, but you know, because Drake May is only a second-year pro. But Sam Darnold has played well for the past 3 seasons. And just his story, like he deserves to show everybody what's up. He deserves to show everybody what's up. So I'm going to be really looking forward to that matchup in the Super Bowl, Patriots versus the Seahawks. And, you know, it's probably going to be a good one, guys. It's probably going to be a good one. I'll come out with an early prediction. Obviously, I'll probably have more as we get closer to the game 2 weeks from now. But I'm going to say 23-20. 23-20. And I have a hard time saying that too, because the Seattle's defense is just so freaking good. Like, they're just so freaking good. Man, they really did rebuild the Legion of Boom. They really did rebuild the Legion of Boom. Hey, it looks like we got a couple people in here. Please please subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please leave a chat in the live chat box. You know, let's have a conversation. Share with me your thoughts. And also, I mean, it could be something as simple as like, is the mic sounding okay? I haven't used the mic, you know, I haven't used this mic in such a fucking long time. I don't even know if it works. I just found it this morning. So, you know, but this was actually one of my favorite mics. I don't like the laptop. I don't like the laptop, you know, audio recording. It sounds like I'm in like a really small, you know, elementary school cafeteria. I absolutely hate it. But yeah, I'm glad. I was really excited that I found this mic this morning. But yeah, tell me what your thoughts are, guys. Obviously there is a new candidate that has risen to the ground, that has come to fruition. Nathan Shieldhouse, pass game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. Now, you ask me, how do I feel about that? Now, I understand he's a pass game coordinator, so like there could be some, you know, limitations to my thought process on you know, on what he could possibly do. But he's highly regarded. The Eagles interviewed him back in 2023 for the offensive coordinator job, that ultimately went to Brian Johnson. So if they were to interview this guy, if they are going to interview this guy, I think that they should do it soon, because I don't think we're going to be the only team that would want to interview this guy for the offensive coordinator position. I think that they should interview him. If they bring him in and they do hire him for offensive coordinator, what are my thoughts? I think it'd be a good move. I obviously still think that Declan Doyle is still on the board, but you know, there's not a lot of news as to how that interview went. from what I've heard from sources that I've seen, that most of the interviews with the Eagles for the offensive coordinator position have been going well. And that it does come down to, obviously, is that offensive coordinator going to get full autonomy over the offense, which the Eagles have been coming back and saying, yes, you're going to have full control of the room. Now, I hope, it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to actually do something. Actions speak louder than words, just as in life. If you say you're going to do something, follow up and do it. Have a little bit of integrity about yourself and do it. So my point is like, it's easy to say that to get these potential candidates for the offensive coordinator position, excited about coaching AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby, all of these guys. But follow up on, allow them to actually have full autonomy. That was the thing, is I've been seeing in recent reports over the last 3 days that Kellen Moore had, there are people saying that Kellen Moore had complete control. He didn't. He did in the beginning, but then they scrapped it because Jalen threw, I think it was 4 turnovers in 3 games or something like that. But it's like, there's the thing is, I think Nick Sirianni is a wuss. I think if he sees just one turnover, he's gonna freak out and gonna scrap the entire playbook, scrap the entire offensive game plan if he sees the offense, turn the ball over once. Now, I understand, I understand the fact that you obviously don't want your team turning the ball over, and that the analytics say that if you win the turnover battle, you're more likely to the chances increase at a significant amount of you winning the game. But don't do it to the extent that you're limiting your offense to the extent at which you are, because your offense looks like a fucking high school offense, based off of how scared you are to take deep shots, run different route concepts, so on and so forth. Come on, man. Seriously, man, you're getting me. Just talking about Nick Sirianni all week has just been actually, I do a pretty good job. I do a pretty good job of keeping my stress levels low. It's all that Greek yogurt. Just kidding. Greek yogurt lowers cortisol levels, by the way. Stress increases cortisol levels. Anyway. Yeah, I do a good job. I do a good job of keeping my stress levels pretty low, but talking about Nick Sirianni for the course of the week has just made me really not like the guy. I don't have any problems. I don't have any problems with him. I like that he's a passionate head coach. I do like that, I do like what he brings, whatever that is. Obviously you could talk about the record. You could talk about the winning record, and he actually does do a good job for the most part with clock management. So, but I just hate when he puts his fingerprints on the offense. I hate when he puts his fingerprints on the offense, and you can tell it's a drastic difference from what the offensive coordinator wants to do to what Nick Sirianni wants the offensive coordinator to do. So it's just a little mind-boggling. You know what I mean? It's just a little mind-boggling. So, so take that for what it is. Sometimes it drives me nuts as an Eagles fan. It drives all of us nuts, for all of us Eagle fans. I speak for Eagle Nation when I say that Nick Sirianni drives us absolutely fucking nuts with his offensive system. Again, I said this before, Eagles do replace Christian Parker with Joe Casper, who is the safeties coach. Obviously, no big surprise there. Joe Casper, you could give him credit for developing rookie safety Andrew Makuba last year. Andrew Makuba was really coming on before he got hurt. And then you could even credit him for the development of Reed Blankenship, and you could credit him for the readiness of Marcus Epps last year. You could I can't really speak for anybody. I can't really speak for anybody else. Obviously, I mentioned Sidney Brown sucks. So that's about it. Speaking of the safety position, what if the Eagles don't bring back Reed Blankenship? Reed Blankenship is going to be an impending free agent. Oh, do you give that guy a bag? Do you give that guy a bag? How much would he cost? How much would he cost? He's been a good safety. He's been a good safety. I would say he's in between good and a little bit better than that. I wouldn't say great, but he's in between really, really good, or good and really, really good. So he hits hard. He forces the fumble, or he forces fumbles. He forces the fumble. He forces fumble. He tackles. He fumbles. He tackles well. Now I got myself all fucking mixed up. He tackles well, and he's a really good safety. He's a really good safety back there. I would like to re-sign Reed Blankenship. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't go higher than 8. I wouldn't go higher than what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was asking for. So which with whom, by the way, no, they're gonna. Is he on a 1-year deal with the Bears, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? No, they're not gonna bring Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back. That wouldn't happen. But anyway, yeah. Speaking of the safety position, if they don't bring Reed back, then they are going to have to find another safety, because it's not Sidney Brown. And would that safety be Marcus Epps? I mean, we've only really seen Marcus Epps play well at the strong safety spot, and Reed obviously is a free safety. So, and honestly, I don't think you want to risk like doing anything to that secondary. Like, you can't overlook the fact that that Reed, Quinion, and Cooper DeJean all play really well together. So if you take one piece out of the puzzle, then it's incomplete. And we don't know how those guys would play without Reed. Unless you know that you're going to get a guy that's significant, that's better. Unless you know for a fact, unless it's guaranteed that you're going to bring in a replacement for Reed Blankenship that is better than Reed Blankenship. And I don't think the free safety market is huge, like in free agency. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see how it all plays out. I think they're going to try and bring back Reed, but the thing is that, will Reed want to take it? Would Reed want to take that offer? I said this yesterday, and it's like they'll probably put out an offer for Dallas Goedert, but it probably won't be enough. And I just went on to say, like, I could easily see the Chiefs paying Dallas Goedert, like, I don't know, 12, something along those lines, to play a few seasons in Kansas City. And obviously that's all going to be dependent upon, or maybe it won't. It will all be dependent upon what Travis Kelce does if he's going to retire, which I would be surprised. I would be surprised if he doesn't retire, honestly, at this point. His heart's just not in the game, it seems. And no disrespect, but it just doesn't seem like his heart's in the game anymore. There's also other news, other updates. Charlie Weiss Jr. is not going to leave LSU. So you can probably pretty much cross Charlie Weiss Jr. off the board. And he's another guy that I was actually kind of excited about. I was excited for Charlie Weiss Jr. to possibly be one of those guys that that gets the offensive coordinator position. And the Eagles were interested. They interviewed him apparently. There were reports showing that they were interested in Charlie Weiss Jr. back to way back earlier in the season as well. I thought he was going to be the guy, and maybe he was their top guy. It's just that it just looks like he doesn't want to leave LSU. But I wouldn't completely rule that out because, when they did hire Chip Kelly was going to go back to Oregon instead. He even left the building and basically told him that he was going to go back and coach and continue to coach for Oregon. But he ended up changing his mind and signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. And then the Chip Kelly era in Philadelphia began. And we all know how that played out. So, wow. This was just reported 2 hours ago. It looks like Shedeur Sanders actually played himself into a Pro Bowl. He only played 8 games. For the Browns. He started off the season as a third string quarterback, and everybody was like, "Why?" But the Browns started the season with a pretty decent quarterback room. Obviously, Joe Flacco was the starter. They had Dylan Gabriel, who they were really high on, who they drafted earlier in last year's draft. And then later in the 5th round, they took Shedeur Sanders. And I wasn't high on Shedeur Sanders in last year's draft, but I saw some of the things that he did with the Browns this past year. But anyway, Joe Flacco got traded. Dylan Gabriel came in and stunk. And then Shedeur Sanders ended up getting the start, for the final 8 games of with the Browns. And now he earned himself a Pro Bowl nod. Wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. I got to say that. I think Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. I think it's possible that the Browns may have found actually a good quarterback. The thing is, in Shedeur Sanders, the thing is they have to continue to build around him. You've got your quarterback. Now go out and get pieces to support him. And now I'm talking, rebuild your offensive line. Go get some playmakers. I'm pretty sure Jim Schwartz is still the defensive coordinator over there, so maybe he's not. I don't know, but go do everything that you possibly can to support your quarterback. That's what smart teams do. But, I can't hang my head on the Browns doing the smart thing because they never do. I mean, you just look at the fact that they weren't even able to get the best out of Baker Mayfield when he was there. And now Baker Mayfield went to Tampa Bay, a place with a better fan base, and then also a better coaching. And look what Baker Mayfield is doing. He's not elite, but he's back. He's in that spectrum that I tried to define earlier, which was I wouldn't say he's great, but he's good to very, very good. And I would say Baker Mayfield is very, very good. That's what I would say. But yeah. Yeah, I think as the day continues on, and I know I said this yesterday too, but I mean, obviously we had some playoff football yesterday. But now that we're in a new week, I feel like as the day goes on, we're going to hear some more, not just smoke, but fire about who the Eagles are really interested in for the OC job. It really does actually surprise me that they actually made an effort to put out an article that Charlie Weiss Jr. is going to remain on Lane Kiffin's staff at LSU. And that was reported by Diana Rossini of The Athletic. Yeah, so I'm just reading from this article right here. LSU offense coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. is reportedly remaining with the school despite taking an interview with the Philadelphia Eagles for their vacant OC role, according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic. Weiss followed head coach Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss to LSU, though he remained with the Rebels during their college football playoff run. Well, we'll just have to see. Another report from Diana Rossini today is that the Eagles are conducting their offensive coordinator search with the understanding that Brian Daboll wants the Bills head coaching job. If he doesn't land it, Daboll is expected to wind up in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator for Cam Ward and the Titans, per sources. Oh, boy. Wow, Declan Doyle withdrew himself. Okay, so this is the most recent update of the OC search. Mike McDaniel obviously interviewed with the Eagles, and he got the OC job with the Chargers. Bobby Slowick interviewed with the Eagles, obviously got the OC job with the Dolphins. Zach Robinson interviewed with the Eagles, got the OC job with the Bucks. Arthur Smith interviewed with the Eagles and got the OC job with Ohio State. Charlie Weiss Jr., according to Diana Rossini, has withdrawn and is going to stay with LSU. Declan Doyle withdrew. And they also tried to interview Clayton Adams, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were blocked the interview. What did I say yesterday? What have I been saying all week? I feel like they don't know what they're doing. And it continues to show. And honestly, like, the more this happens, it just seems like they don't want to work with Sirianni. And yeah, that could be a little bit of like a you know, that could just me being like a irritated fan thing. But like, there were actually reports that these coaches don't want to work with Nick Sirianni, which is not good. Oy vey. That is not good. He's not good. Man, that's a shame. But again, there is going to be, the Eagles are showing interest in Nathan Shieldhouse, pass game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I do feel we're going to, I don't know if it's going to heat up. I think it's actually already a mess. I think, oh man, watch that happen. The Eagles didn't get who they wanted, so they promote from within. I could see that being the report on Wednesday. Eagles promote from within. None of the players would want to play her. None of them. That would destroy any interest. That would destroy my interest in wanting to watch this offense next season. Honestly. Or any faith. I wouldn't say interest, but it would destroy any faith that I have in the offense possibly, turning it around. So but we'll just have to see. We'll just have to continue to watch and see if they bring in somebody. Man, oh man, oh man. Good for Shedeur Sanders, though. That's good news. Good for Shedeur Sanders, getting the Pro Bowl nod. Good for him. Good for him. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, the Pro Bowl is not what it used to be. You pretty much just play games, and things like that. But yeah. But yeah, early predictions. I think the Seahawks are going to win. I think the Seahawks. Sorry, there's a part of me inside that is still a 12-year-old child. I do think that the Seahawks are still gonna win. But I do think it's gonna be a really good game. Obviously, it's in San Francisco this year, right? Yeah, it's in San Fran. It's in San Fran. So the weather's gonna be good. That's the good thing. So we will just have to see what happens from there. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's good to be on with you guys today. This is DB Talkin Now, DB Talkin Birds, DB Talkin Philadelphia Eagles. Please please subscribe, please hit the notification bell so you can get updates about all the shit that we're fucking talking about, mainly the Philadelphia Eagles and anything that goes on in the NFL. And drop a comment in the comment box. I'll see it at some point, and then I'll respond, and we can talk about whatever you commented on. That's just the way that it goes. That is just the way that it goes. The other thing too is, obviously Jalen Phillips, who the Eagles traded for with the Miami Dolphins at the trade deadline, very good edge rusher. The league sources and the belief is around the NFL that he did play his way into a big money contract, which just concerns me because as of right now, the Eagles don't have a lot, but I do expect them to have more cap space by the time free agency begins. Howie always ends up making a few moves that help us out a little bit more, but that's going to be a tough decision to make. The thing is Jalen Phillips is really good. And they can't really afford to. They really can't afford to play games with the edge position. I think that they should resign him, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, I think if the Eagles don't make a play and resign Jalen Phillips, I think we're going to be back in a situation that we were in last offseason, where it's like we're just hiring Timu type players at the edge position, and then they end up not doing anything. We can't generate pass rush, and that's one of the things that really fucking worries me. So we'll just have to see how it pans out. But yeah, I hope that they resign Jalen Phillips. I obviously I'm a little skeptical about that because he only played like 8 games with us. But he instantly showed his value to the defensive line instantly, right away, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah, so I mean, I hope that they resign him. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I certainly hope that they do. That's for darn sure. That's for darn sure. And then also at the same time, is like, what are we going to do about the tight end position? One of the things I mentioned the other day is like Kyle Pitts is going to be, we're probably not going to bring back Dallas Goedert. Probably not going to do it. Even though I think that it might be a good idea to do, but especially if it's going to be on like a maybe 1-2 year deal or a 1 year deal. It seems like a lot of the veterans end up doing that. But what are they going to do if he does walk? If he does go, because he's got some years left in him. But the thing is like, do you want to resign him? I like I mentioned, like he could easily go to the Chiefs and play for them. Easily go to the Chiefs and play for them. But yeah, what are you going to do at that tight end position? I mean, obviously Kyle Pitts is going to be a free agent as well. Now I understand Kyle Pitts is not, he's not a good blocker. But again, that all depends on like what this new offensive coordinator is going to want to do. If it is the pass game coordinator, if it is going to be Nathan Shieldhouse, like, did you see how they used, what's his name? Kobe Parkinson, in their pass game? Kobe Parkinson's all over the, Kobe Parkinson is like all over the field a lot of the time. And then I think they also had Tyler Higbee. Wasn't it Tyler Higbee like last year, who was the tight end for the Rams? Like he was a vertical threat as well. And so like they were able to get him, involved. So there were a lot of things that like, if it is going to be Nathan Shieldhouse, our idea of what the tight end should do in this offense might fucking change. He might not have to be like a supreme blocker like Dallas Goedert is. Like we could bring in a Kyle Pitts maybe and add that versatility to the offense, because I see adding Kyle Pitts in free agency. I see that adding versatility regardless. When you have a tight end that can run a 4.3 and you line him up with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, that's fucking dangerous in my eyes. That's dangerous. So I mean, who knows? There's obviously guys that I'm going to be excited about in free agency, but right now I just don't see a lot of room for the Eagles to do anything. But like I said, how he's gonna make his moves, how he's gonna do what he needs to do to make sure that we have enough money to make the moves that we need to make, and those moves obviously could be like resigning Reed Blankenship or signing Jalen Phillips, but to a big contract. Or maybe even bringing back Kobe Dean. That's going to be a tough decision to make. I really think that's going to be a tougher decision, especially for Howie. Howie, the one thing that you can probably say as far as Howie Roseman and this current defense is concerned is that I'm pretty sure that he was pretty proud of himself when he drafted that historic Georgia defense. And obviously, I'm talking about Nakobe Dean. I'm talking about Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. I'm talking about Nolan Smith. Keely Ringo was a part of that team, but like he just obviously it's a shame that everybody else is playing well, but he just can't. He just gets shat on, but he deserves it. He doesn't play very well. But yeah, anyway, getting back to the point, I'm pretty sure that Howie Roseman was very proud of himself when he got all those guys. And letting one of them go, especially Nakobe Dean playing really, really well the last 2 years under Vic Fangio. That's going to be hard, man. That's going to be hard. Now I understand we drafted Jahad Campbell, but like N'Kobe Dean, you know, Nick or Zach Bond is old, or he's not old, but he's I think he's going to be like 29 or 30 this year. You know, so do you give N'Kobe like a 5-year deal that will exceed Zach Bond's contract? And then when it comes up with Jahad Campbell, do you extend him because you'll have that 5th-year option with Jahad Campbell, and you have those two guys playing linebacker together. That's my thing is like who's going to be your future? I mean, you can't depend on Zach Bond being the future. He's already like, he's already like approaching his 30s, and we know that the shelf life, unfortunately for professional athletes, is like 30 to 35 these days anyway. So I'd rather, and I think N'Kobe is only like what, 25, 24, 25, 25. Maybe he's 26. I don't know. But like, I would give N'Kobe a contract length that exceeds the contract length of Zach Bond, and that way you have N'Kobe set up for a little while after Zach Bond leaves, and then you can extend Jahad Campbell's contract by giving him the 5th-year option when that becomes available. But I mean, the fact that like the Philadelphia Eagles fans were, chomping at the bit and clamoring for Howie to do something about the linebacker position for so long, and he's finally got it resolved. And then you just think about the fact of like letting N'Kobe Dean go. Like, it's like N'Kobe came back from his injury and immediately like was a playmaker. Like I don't want to get rid of N'Kobe Dean. I like N'Kobe Dean. I think he's a better vocal leader than Zach Bond. I'm not saying he's better on the field, but he's a better vocal leader, and he is a vocal leader for that entire defense. That's for damn sure. When N'Kobe came back, that I think it was right after they got mollywopped by the Giants the first time, or maybe it was the Bears. Maybe it was against the Bears. I think he came back. Yeah, I think he came back. No, it was the Giants. He came back after the Giants game, but like the defense played with a higher ferocity when N'Kobe came back. Yeah, we did have the bad game against the Bears, but the defense turned their shit around. Really turned their shit around when N'Kobe was back. I just think that's the move that you make. And honestly, like, I wouldn't be, and this is going to sound crazy. Not everybody's going to like it. Not everybody's going to be on board with it, but trade Zach Bond next year. Not this year, next year. See what you can get for him. I'm really adamant about that. Like, I really don't want to see N'Kobe Dean walk out the door. That's going to really suck. And especially, it's going to really suck, especially because that the Dallas Cowboys are going to want to bring him in, and that Christian Parker, who was a part of the defense, is going to want to bring in N'Kobe. Like, man, I don't want to see N'Kobe Dean leave. And he's a good dude too. He's a good dude. Has high character, leads well, mature for his age. He's everything that you kind of like. N'Kobe is everything that you want from a defensive leader, in my opinion. And I was a huge fan of Brian Dawkins. He's still to this day my favorite player to ever suit up in Eagles green. So I know what a good defensive leader looks like, for damn sure. It's kind of like when you have a good cheeseburger. No, I'm just kidding. And you compare it to all the other cheeseburgers, and it's like, man, that one cheeseburger from that one place that we just ate at, like, you compare it to McDonald's cheeseburger. McDonald's couldn't even touch it. Well, actually, there's a lot of cheeseburgers that McDonald's can't touch, but either or, that's not the point I'm getting. I'm hungry right now, so like that's why I'm talking about cheeseburgers. Actually, I haven't had one honestly in like a couple months, few months maybe. There's this really good burger joint in Newport, California, Newport Beach. It's called TK Burgers. I think it's TK Burgers. They make really, really good burgers. Really good burgers. And the patties are huge. Obviously you could just get a regular burger, but like I always add like 2 or 3 patties on there. So that's just, it's just what you got to do. You like a burger, you got to add 2 or 3 patties on there. Make it good, make it delicious, make it unforgettable, make it phenomenal, make it something that's going to fucking make your day the best day in the world. As long as you can find things to do that, and you're doing good. Make every moment count. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this team, man. I mean, I really think that this offensive coordinator search is becoming a mess. And I'm very fearful. I'm fearful with the fact that it might come down on Wednesday where they're like, oh yeah, we're promoting from within. We're promoting our quarterback's coach. I don't even fucking know his name. That's how little whatever. But yeah, the Eagles are promoting their quarterback's coach to take over the offense. Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. Let's do that. I kind of really want the Rams guy. I didn't even know that Delkin Doyle, offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears, withdrew his name from candidacy. I didn't even fucking know that. But now that I do know that, it's kind of a little iffy. I see that we got a couple people in the watching the stream right now. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also if you want to talk, go ahead and leave a chat in the chat box, or you can drop a comment and I can respond later when I see it, because I will see it at some point. That's for damn sure. Yeah, I mean, I just have a feeling that this entire offensive coordinator search is turning into a mess. They're not going to get the guy that they want. They're probably going to promote a guy from within, and they're going to have to find a way to explain it to the fans, and the fans are going to be pissed off, and we're not going to have a lot of excitement towards watching the offense play. Shall I go on? Shall I go on? The only thing, like, if the Eagles hired an offensive coordinator that like is really boring and stale and like just somebody that like doesn't do it for the fans, because public image is very important to Jeffrey Lurie, by the way, and this team. How the public views this team is very important to him. Obviously, as a sports team owner, that's one of the things that is of major importance that you just have to think about. Yeah, if the fans are unhappy, you gotta find the right guy. Stop dicking around. Stop fucking around. Find the right guy. Why haven't we heard anything about Cliff Kingsbury? I would be okay with Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff worked with Jalen, before. Why did Charlie Weiss Jr. withdraw his name? Like, does he really want to does he really want to continue under Lane Kiffin? Like, really? Like, if he came to the NFL to become an offensive coordinator, like, he would get that step up in the NFL, and he could maybe turn it into a head coaching position in a year or two. So like, I don't fucking know. It all ties us back to Nick Sirianni. Like it's hard to ignore the fact that like all of these people are either withdrawing their names or they're deciding to go somewhere else. Even though like the Eagles have probably top 3 in talent on the offensive side of the ball in the NFL and have been for the last 4 years. Maybe it's Jalen. Maybe they don't want to work with Jalen. I don't know. Maybe they want a different type of quarterback. I don't fucking know. Couldn't tell you. But there is one thing that I can tell you is that something's going on. Something is going on. Oy vey. These the Eagles are interviewing former Texans QB coach. Gerard Johnson? Why? Why? He's a former Philly QB and he's a former QB coach for the Texans. Why? Why? Oh, that's why. He was on Sirianni's offensive staff in Indianapolis for the 2020 season. No. Nope. Cut the cord. No. They really gotta not let Nick orchestrate this offensive coordinator search. They really gotta not let Nick orchestrate this. What's up, buddy? It's Bisbee, everybody. Just saying hello. What's up, dude? Ooh. This is Bisbee. He likes to hang on my shoulder. Unfortunately, when he does do that, put your tail down. When he does do that, he puts his claws into my shoulder and it hurts like a motherfucker. Ow. Okay, we're done. Oh, good boy. Oh, a very lovable cat, though. Very lovable cat. He very clingy, very lovable, but very clingy. And cat sitting. His name's Bisbee. It's my little dude. Anyway, yeah, don't let Nick Sirianni. They need to stop letting Nick Sirianni be in charge of this offensive coordinator search. Interview former Philly QB, the former Texans QB coach for offensive coordinator. Such an awful thing. No, give me the news that I want to hear, which is they're bringing in Nathan Shieldhouse. That's what the fans want to hear, that they're bringing in Nathan Shieldhouse to interview for the offensive coordinator position. Not some schnazadoo. I don't even know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Not some schnazadoo. Jesus Christ. For all that's holy. God. And you know how they sell, those type of candidates, they sell those type of candidates to the fan base is they say, oh, we're just casting a wide net. We're doing our due diligence. Like, nah. And I don't mean to freak out. Now, obviously the Eagles are a top franchise in the NFL. I'm very well aware of that. And they have been a class act franchise for last 30 years. But for the most part, maybe 25 years. But yeah, like just get the right guy. Get a guy that can make the most of all the personnel on offense. Like that's all that we want. That's all that the Eagles fans want. That's all that we want. Anyway, I'm good. It's good. It's good. I'm not stressed. I'm going to have some Greek yogurt, lower my cortisol levels. All is going to be good. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys joining in today. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, if we do get any emergency updates as far as the offensive coordinator search is concerned, I will be back. I will be back on as soon as we do hear something. But other than that, I'll be back on tomorrow around 1 p.m. And we'll just continue to talk more about it, see what's going on with the offseason, the offensive coordinator search, and so on and so forth. And yeah, because that's what we do. Drop a like, go ahead and man, I'm losing my words right now. Go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment in the comment box so I can get back to you later about it. And anyway, I appreciate you joining. Have a beautiful rest of your day. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds, baby. Peace.